I'm going to show you how to make the quickest layer cake quilt ever. You're not going to believe how quickly these quilts come together. And what's even better about this tutorial is with one printed layer cake and one solid layer cake, we can actually make two baby quilts and a big kid's quilt. So I can't wait to show you that. But something else I'm excited about is today marks the first day of our annual quilt donation drive. And this is where I try to inspire you to make quilts to donate to Comfort Cases, who are a nationwide charity that serve children that are entering the foster care system. They make up cases with essential items, and we love to send quilts in to be included in those cases. So if you'd like to know more, I'll put a link down below. But for now, let me show you how to make this super easy and quick layer cake quilt. So to make this quilt, you're going to need one layer cake with your printed pattern fabric, and I've got this really cute fabric here called Animal Animal by Ruby Star Society that's going to make a beautiful kids quilt. And then you'll also need a layer cake that is just a solid fabric, and then what we're going to do is we're going to use the two together. Now the neat thing about this quilt pattern is if you have these two layer cakes, you can actually make two baby quilts and one big kids quilt using this method. So this quilt features a single quilt block in two colorways, creating a simple yet striking design. So basically all we're doing is making the same block, but we're just swapping the colors around in different placements to get our desired effect. Our baby quilt's going to measure approximately 33 inches by 33 inches, and you can get a copy of these instructions over on my website, and I've actually created a free printable reference sheet for you. You'll find all of that over on my website. I'll make sure I put a link down below for you. But for this quilt, we're going to need 10 layer cake pattern print pieces. 4 of those we'll be cutting in half and 2 we'll cut into 4. Then we're going to need 6 layer cake pieces in our solid fabric. 4 we'll cut in half and 2 we'll cut into 4. And now I'll show you exactly what I mean. So I've picked out my 10 pieces of my pattern print that I'm going to use, and this side here, these pieces are going to stay whole, so I'm not going to cut them at all. But these pieces I'm going to cut, and I've got a couple of doubles in here, and those are the ones that I plan to cut in half because they're going to frame the whole pieces. So we'll put aside our 4 pieces that are going to stay whole, and we've got our 6 pieces here that we'll cut. So I've got my 2 layer cake pieces here right on top of each other, all the edges lined up, and I'm just going to cut them in half. So I've got my ruler and I'm going to find the 5-inch mark, line that up on the edge, line it up on this bottom edge so we know it's nice and straight, and I'm just going to cut it in half. And then I'm going to do the same for the other pair of fabrics, these cute little fish. Now this is directional fabric, and on the block they will face the wrong way on some sides, but when the block is facing me, I want the fish to be facing up the right way. So if that's going to bother you, maybe stay away from directional fabric. Once again, just lining everything up and cutting it in half. So now we've got our 4 pieces cut in half. Now I'm going to take our 2 pieces and cut them into 4s. So I'm just going to line them up again just to save a little bit of time and cut these 2 pieces in one go. So once I'm happy that all the edges are lined up nicely, I'm going to cut it in half again at the 5-inch mark. And then I'm just going to turn it around and cut it this way again at 5 inches because our layer cakes measure 10 and half of 10 is 5. So now we've got our 2 pieces cut into 4 and our 4 pieces cut into 2. Now we're going to do the same for our solid layer cake pieces. So now I've got my 4 solid pieces that I'm going to cut in half. And then my 2 pieces, and we're going to cut these in 4, just like we did previously. And these are all in the instructions, and you can get that free reference sheet over on my website. Okay, now we're just going to have some fun Placing all our pieces in the correct position of how we'd like our blocks to be, and then we're just going to sew them together. Now let's make up our quilt blocks. All of them start with our nice pattern print in the center. And then for my first one, I'm going to do one with my pattern pieces in the corners that I cut into 4. And then with my solids on the sides. And isn't this sloth print just adorable and gorgeous? I love it so much. It's definitely my favorite fabric in this layer cake. Now all I'm going to do is sew the rows together, and then we'll sew each of those rows together. So we'll make 2 just like this, and then for our other block we're reverting it. So we stick with our print in the middle, then we have our print on the sides, and then we have our solid in the corners. So we make 2 like this and then 2 inverted. So starting off the very edge, stitching at stitch length 2 and using wonderful confetti thread, I'll just remove the pins as I need to and sew all my pieces together. So I'm just going to set the stitches, which sets the stitches into the fabric, making the stitches stronger and help our block lay flatter. Then I'm going to press all my seams towards our printed fabric, and that's going to mean that the whole quilt will come together and nest really beautifully when we're sewing our blocks together. So I'll do this and then I'll sew my rows together. So I've got my rows here in the correct position. Now what I'm going to do is sew row 1 to 2. I'm going to pick it up and find those nested seams. I've got seams pressing going this way. These seams are pressing coming this way. What we're going to do is butt those seams up against each other and they can't go any further. When I'm happy, I'll pop a pin in. I'm going to check these edges are lined up nicely too. And what I like to do is open it up and just check I'm getting a nice straight line. When I'm happy, I will pop a pin in. I'll do the same on the other side, and then I'll pin each of the ends and in the center. And then I'll sew along this edge. Once I've done that, I'll attach the 3rd row. When I come up to these seams, I just want to make sure they're being sewn down in the direction they were pressed. So if this one was coming forward, I would just push it down and make sure it is in that correct position, removing the pins as I need to. Now I'll just attach my 3rd row. Now I'm going to carry on and make my remaining 3 blocks. Ta-da! Now all I did was sew those blocks together in an alternating order. Now I've actually matched mine up. You can see that these layer cakes here, I used the same ones to frame this main layer cake piece here. But you could actually make yours completely mix and match and have a whole lot of fun just sewing any pieces together and seeing what you end up with, because that would end up super cute too. Don't forget, over on my website, I've got a reference sheet telling you exactly how many pieces you need to make a baby size quilt or a big kids quilt. And that's all free. I'll put the links down below. And please consider joining us for the quilt donation drive. We would love to have you. Thanks so much for watching this video. And if you're looking for other quick quilt ideas, I'll put a link up above for my playlist for all my quilts for the quilt donation drive. Thanks so much for watching till the very end. I appreciate you.